best movies I've seen in quite a while, especially in the movie theaters. Project Hail Mary. Man, what an experience. The only
That's
thing that
the
I
word for it.
the only thing I regret is I was not able to see it in 70 millimeter. That's about it. Don't want to take that trek into the city, but I've
Lincoln
seen,
Square. I think Lincoln Square is the only theater that has a 70
yeah,
millimeter.
yeah, by us, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
only chance we'd have. But absolutely incredible film from top to bottom, and one of the things that we're going to be talking about, other than obviously its success and all that jazz, is a possible return to practical filmmaking. Um, and for me, that's the biggest thing. Like, this was a movie that looked like a movie as opposed to a video game, which has been probably the more because of Marvel. I guess if we want to blame Marvel for anything, it would be that the overuse of green screen for every situation, and I think that's why this movie really shined through because it just didn't have that stuff. They used the dome, which was pretty much made for the Mandalorian. So they use that technology, and if you're unfamiliar with the dome, what it basically is a exactly what it sounds like. It's a dome filled completely with LEDs, so they are getting they're getting the visual. It's not a green screen. They're getting the lighting, the ambiance. The actors get to act in an atmosphere as opposed to just, well, I hope you can imagine it. And I think it paid. I think it paid a ton of dividends. How about you, man?
I agree. It is. You're right. It feels like a movie. I also like how big it is, but how small it is because it's just Ryan Gosling and this animatronic. Throughout 80% of the movie, it's just the two of them. Obviously, the movie has more life to it because they go back and forth between. It, spoilers. The movie starts off with him waking up from unconsciousness on this ship. He doesn't know why he's there, and you, as the audience, don't know why he's there, and you kind of follow this whole like remembrance and revelations that he comes to as the longer he stays out there, and he remembers why he's there and what he's doing, um, until he remembers how he got there, and it's it just feel like you're with him on this emotional journey throughout the whole movie. I felt connected to him the entire film.
Oh yeah, Ryan
Um,
Gosling was amazing.
yeah, he fucking killed it. He killed it. Uh, and his co-star is animatronic rock, essentially. Uh, it's I read the book when it first came out, and the way he describes Rocky in the book is perfect on screen. Like, and I love the fact that the voice of Rocky is actually the puppeteer. Uh,
Yes.
that's moving with him. That was a big thing. Ryan Gosling, I believe, advocated for him to be the voice of Rocky in the film because that's what brought out his acting. That like the chemistry that the two of them had on screen is just undeniable, and I think the voice fits so well. It's wonderful. Um, I also agree on the point of practical. It's a practical film. There's very limited use of CGI, and the advantage of using that innovative technology is the lighting, the shadows. Everything looks and feels real, like very, very authentic. Um, Reminds me a lot of like 2001 Space Odyssey, in terms of like the use of practical effects. And if you remember in 2001 Space Odyssey, there's that rotating room in the
Yes.
center of the ship. That was all real.
Yeah.
That was not camera work. That
No.
was they literally built a rotating set.
Man, Stanley
And
Kubrick don't
I
play.
yeah, I guess I guess when you just you have him when you sign Stanley Kubrick, you get what you get. Um, but that's it. Just I instantly felt back in that film in terms of the artistic value and the artistic usage of the technology that exists without having to just rely on a computer. You don't need all that green screen. And going back to your point on Marvel, I almost feel like it, as great as the Marvel movies are, I think they've done damage to the movie industry in the sense of, if your movie doesn't make hundreds of millions of or $1 billion, it's considered like a failure. Um,
Yeah.
this movie's budget, I believe, was around uh $200 million or something like that, which is double the cost of The Martian, which is also written by Andy Weir, which is also an adaptation of his books. And The Martian was so successful. Uh, Hail Mary is, so if we're looking at like the financials alone, right? Currently, domestically, uh, it is it's making it's at about 164 million domestically. Worldwide, it's crossing 300 million, which is outstanding for a film. But it's still not considered profitable at that point, unless apparently. So I had to look this up. Like, what I just asked, like, what is a film considered successful in terms of profit? Apparently, you have to make 2 to 2.5 times your budget. That means this movie, by the time it's done theatrically, needs to make over $400 million.
Well, I'm
Which
pretty sure it's almost right there. It's at
it's
350.
at 300 million. It's at 300 million. In terms of like, again, if you compare it to The Martian, The Martian uh, made after its theatrical run, it tripled its profit. So but in this case, you got to think about when The Martian came out. Like, this was before COVID, and it's it had a longer stay in the theater than movies do now. I feel like movies are in a theater for maybe a month before they go onto streaming, and then a couple weeks after they start streaming, they're just out of the theater and in place of the next one. Again, I think this is like an evolution of the movie industry. Like, this is what's happening now. I'm so happy to see this movie doing so well, because it really, like, you and I have always talked about how we love practical effects and how
Yes.
we feel like it's a return to form. It needs to be a return to form, because
Yeah,
otherwise you're just.
and it's
Go
not
ahead.
to say that there's no CGI in the movie. See, I think that's where people kind of like it's practical effects. Very like there are definitely some composite shots in the movie.
Of
But
course.
that's
Of
but
course.
that's but the fact that it's minimal is the difference, as opposed to
Yeah,
everything.
I agree.
And this is really where Marvel started taking a turn. I'll bring up Quantumania. That movie looks horrendous, and when you go to the movies, it doesn't bring that movie atmosphere. You don't feel like you're getting entrenched in something. Whereas when I was watching this, I mean, you felt like you were in the ship with him, and that's because they built an entire set with the camera work that can go through the ship. Like, everything is real. Everything that he
Yeah.
interacts with
Yeah.
is real, especially Rocky, and that's what takes us to a next level. Because we would have been able to very easily tell if it was CGI, and it probably would have not had the same impact that it's having if it was a CGI character. It just wouldn't have. I really
I
believe
agree.
that. So the fact that they had a puppeteer, brought it to life, and outside again of a couple scenes here or there, like it's all there. Ryan Gosling
Yeah.
is actually working with somebody. He's seeing what he's supposed to be seeing. Like, everything's authentic. The lighting, the cinematographer, Greg Fraser. One of the tricks that he did was he removed the IR filters and used infrared LEDs to create the astrophage glowing
Yeah.
effect.
That's
So,
so
like,
cool.
it reacted with the actors in real time, and it wasn't added, and it wasn't a CGI overlay. And again, that
Yeah.
makes a huge difference, because I don't know what happened, and I don't know really, because all these budgets keep ballooning. A Marvel movie's cost like $800 million to make or whatever, and then it looks like absolute dog shit. Meanwhile, you know, you would assume the technology is supposed to be better, but I can go back and watch the original Jurassic Park and be like, God damn, this stuff
Yeah.
looks great. Terminator 2,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah.
This stuff
Yeah.
looks...
Dude, the T-1000 in Terminator 2, just the liquid metal looked so good.
So
Like
good.
it
And
didn't look cheesy at all. You could you were so fascinated that a computer could do this to a movie.
yeah.
Like you've added this to this movie now, and it just was so good.
So does it come to the point of like, is it really just the actors making too much money for these pictures? Like where is the budget really going? Because a lot of the times it doesn't seem like it's going into like, because, you know, we're talking about Marvel movies here, not this movie, but you know, the money's not going into sets because the set's just a green screen. So like
Terrain. They make terrain. That's about it.
yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like so where is the money going into, especially if the CGI looks like ass?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
But you know, so to me, this movie is an absolute huge win for practical effects, and the fact that it seems like it's pretty much unanimously loved by everyone that sees it, and still has pretty strong legs. 2 weeks later, or is it a week later? No, I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It came out March 20th, I believe.
So
yeah, the Friday.
I loved it. And again, I knew nothing of it. Kelly had read the book, which was cool because she's like, yeah, I want to see that. I was like, you want to see a sci-fi alien movie? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, then let's go.
Let's go.
I was like, don't hear that a lot, you know. So I was all in.
No,
super ready, and you know, I loved it. It was just a really fun movie, and for me right now, as of right now, I will say it is absolutely film of the year. I don't think anything that's been released up until this point is even close. And honestly, looking at what's coming out later, I don't know if anything's gonna really, you know, obviously we have Avengers, right? Avengers is this year.
Avengers.
Yeah, is later this year.
I'm not sure about Avengers. We have the Mandalorian Grogu. That comes out.
It could.
I am ready for that because I love the Mandalorian.
Of course, I'm ready for that too.
But like, so we saw Predator Badlands earlier this year, and we talked about how their use of practical, you know, effects and like just him being in the suit was so well done. This movie,
and that was all again, no CGI. That was all him on wire work. So like him jumping and all that stuff, it's real. There's no like, well, we're gonna do this wide shot.
There's no CGI drawing of him leaping
like,
into the air. Yeah.
So again, it just because you're visually, your brain can tell, and that's what emerges you more into the movie, like because you're just like, holy shit, like.
Well, the whole point is you want to suspend disbelief. That's the point. When you read a book and you watch a movie, the whole objective was to suspend disbelief. And if you're not achieving that, have you really succeeded in making a good movie? Like, yeah, you know, the blockbuster is, and again, this is why I say, like, I think Marvel kind of broke the system in a not so good way. Like, don't get me wrong, there's great Marvel movies. I always talk about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies because I always, and this is almost 20 years later that movie came out. More than 20 years later it came out. When I left the theater seeing that movie, I was on such a high, man. Like, I remember the elation that I walked out of that theater with for the first time seeing that movie and thinking, wow, that was a ride. That was awesome. Like, I was here for it. The shots, him web slinging through New York City, it felt so good. And then as Marvel became its own entity, separating from Sony and creating, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they did so well that everybody just threw money at it. And I think the fact that you keep throwing money at something, like you're saying, where's all this budget going? we're paying Robert Downey Jr. to be Iron Man. How much money?
Yeah.
Like
And that's not to
stupid
say,
amounts.
and I'm not trying to, like, I know there's a
No, I'm
ton of
not trying to bring
stunts
down his
involved.
acting or anything.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say don't pay, but when, you know, when your movie is supposed to be, and, for the most part, I've always considered action movies in general to just be things that push the boundaries of reality and
Yeah.
always try to have some kind of huge spectacle that you've never seen before, like always trying to push so like eventually at some point for me the Marvel movies didn't really continue to push anything. It just was, this is good enough. So there were
Yeah.
no more awesome, like, from the original movies and stuff, like let's just say the first, all the first batch of movies up to the first Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Let's just use that as an example. There were, I mean, we had Iron Man tracking shots, like from behind. Like a lot of these things just disappeared. The Hulk transform, like you can't even
Mm-hmm.
compare Hulk from the first Avengers to any Hulk after that. It's like not even
Yeah.
close.
Well,
And I don't.
like this going off the Hulk, the Edward Norton movie was actually really good. I enjoyed that movie a lot. And
Yeah, but he's a
the
dick, so it is what it is.
he is, yeah, again. But I'm saying in terms of like the Hulk as a Hulk movie and the Hulk itself, that movie felt good too. Like it just you felt present in the world.
Yeah.
The thing about Hail Mary that's great is this movie is a true movie of science fiction. It is not, there's no fantasy involved here. There is math, there is science, there is space. And I love that it's also digestible to like the common person. Like you don't have to understand astrophysics to follow this movie. And it feels so much like almost like a buddy cop movie without the
Yes.
buddy cop. You know what I mean?
Rock Cop.
Rock cop.
Amaze, amaze,
Rock cop.
amaze. All right.
Amaze, amaze,
So,
amaze.
um, before I have a couple questions I want to ask you because you've read the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite quotes from Ryan Gosling, and I'm sure you heard it. He came out and said, "It's not your job to keep theaters open. It's our job to make things that make it worth you coming out." In regards to
Yeah.
this movie, and
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling was pretty high on my list. This quote puts him in like my top 3 actors right now because
Yes. I agree.
it's
I
so
love him.
fucking right.
I do.
It's so right, and he does everything. He's great at comedy. He's great at serious. Like he's got lines. He's got movies where he barely talks, and he's awesome. And like he crushes it. He crushes
I agree.
whatever he
I
does.
agree.
But now, as someone who's read the books, is the book as comical as the movie? Because that would be my only knock on the movie.
Yes.
Is they kind of always make a joke out of everything, even when serious shit's happening. Like there's a little heartstring pulls, but I think the director, not the director of the movie, the woman leading the project,
Mhm.
and Ryan Gosling's character, like she has like super deadpan humor, and then you have like his erratic humor. So like them playing off of each other is just awesome to watch all the time. But that one specific scene where she's like, "I'm sorry, we're gonna have to basically kidnap you and send you to space."
Yeah.
I was looking for a little bit more drama there, and
So
it kind of went into like
you
again,
got to look at it.
very little nitpick.
I know.
That would be my own. So I'm just
No,
curious.
No.
Yeah.
So I will say this. In the book, I feel like there's more romantic chemistry between them, even though the story is basically the same. But in the book, it comes off more like they have emotions for each other after spending so much time together developing this project. Um, is it as humorous in the book? From what I recall, yes.
Okay.
It is still funny moments, but the thing about these moments, it's not. It's almost like dark humor. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be laughing at the situation that's happening, but at the same time, you don't know what else to do, so you're involuntarily like just how Ryan Gosling's just climbing all over the office trying to get away from these people that he can't get away from. Like it is I don't remember that moment in particular, but I do remember like it being comical in the sense like you laugh at it, but at the same time, like you're like, oh shit, this is really happening. Like it's not a joke. Like throughout the whole movie, all the jokes aren't really jokes. They're just that's how they're trying to survive. They're making things funny because otherwise they will crack. Um
Like a
him and
rock.
Rocky's dynamic, him and Rocky's dynamic in the book is just as good. It is literally what you see on screen is what the book feels like. Uh, there's the one my one note for the whole movie, which I loved in the book, that they only really kind of like nudged on in the movie because it just happened and then they moved past it. The way they learn to communicate with each other is through mathematics and music. Like he starts playing tones for him in the book,
Okay.
and that's how they start communicating with each other. So basically, what he does with the computer, where he analyzes his tone and says, okay, this tone is this word, this tone is this word, that happens in the book. And it takes a really long time. Obviously, you can't spend that much time on screen for them trying to figure out how to talk. Um,
I did love how
but
they
it,
used that part to kind of sneak some voice actor
yes,
cameos in there, like Meryl Streep.
yes,
Like
Meryl Streep.
she could
She
do
could do
anything.
anything. you know, it is. I don't remember that comment being in the book. It probably would have stood out to me if it was. But yes, there's nothing that I saw in the movie that I was like, oh, where's this part from the book? Or wow, they really should have taken from the book for this scene. Everything felt so fluid. And there was literally the only thing I remember that stood out again is how they communicated, how they learned to communicate with each other. I think they touch upon the whole music thing because when you go into Rocky's ship, he starts pulling on those like strings of the of his ship just to like like make sounds and control the ship.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so that's what that's supposed to be because he obviously can't he can only make tones. He can't actually speak words.
Yeah.
So every tone is a different word to him, just like every note is a different music note. So that was my only. I don't even want to call it a gripe. It's not even a gripe. It's just like I like that part. What they did was fine. That's all, what they
Yeah.
did on the screen was fine.
One of the cool things that Kelly brought to my attention when we were after the movie was because they don't really talk about it, but they do show it. Is in the when they first when he first goes over to the ship and there's the wall and he's
Yeah,
like looking around. And Kelly was like, "Oh well, that was him using all different materials
yeah,
building that wall so he can figure out what Grace could see through." And
yeah,
then once he figured it out, then the second version now had
yes.
everything was made. I was like, oh, that's. I mean,
It-
it's again, I don't really know how they could have communicated that, but it was pretty awesome knowing that little tidbit from the book to take that scene to like another level. So I love how there's
yeah,
like layers of that in there, and you rarely hear this. It's I have Kelly has read a lot of books and we've seen a lot of movies based on those books, and for the
yeah,
most part it's always the book is better. The book is better. This was the first
yeah.
movie where she was like this was on par with the book. I loved
No,
it.
I agree. And Kelly, you're absolutely right. Yeah, both the book and the movie are fantastic. I always compare when you talk about book adaptations. One of my favorite books is Ready Player One. That book, I've read that book like 3 times, and it's when the movie came out, I was scared because so much happens in the book. Like there's just so many events, there's so many things that like it touches on between like, talking about how Rush is like Rush the band is a focus, like all these things. And they change a lot of things in the movie and from the book. Like, okay, like the last fight scene between Mecha Godzilla. He's supposed to He's supposed to be in the Japanese Spider-Man mech from the Japanese show, but nobody knows who that is. Nobody knows who Super Spider-Man is.
They should.
So they gave him a
They
Gundam.
should.
I'm okay with the Gundam.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
okay with the Gundam.
Gundam versus
Obviously, being a Gundam
Mechagodzilla
fan.
is badass. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's the most badass scene in the whole movie. But again, like, there's a lot of emotion in that book that did not come across in the movie. There's a lot of nuances that didn't come across because I'm sure they couldn't get licenses for.
Yeah.
There's so many things in that movie that you need to
Although
get a license
Fortnite
for.
could.
Stop it.
Fortnite got every license. Every
Stop.
license.
Every license.
All of
But
the
that's
licenses.
what makes it. And this is the first book adaptation film that I feel like I don't have any notes. I have no.
That's
I like
awesome.
this out of the book better than I like this out of the movie. No, everything fits. The emotion you feel from the book when he talks about the like vastness of space and how he stands in the astrophage, like that, all that stuff. When you
That
read
scene
it,
is
like
unbelievable.
you get an idea of like what you're imagining and what you're picturing in your head. But seeing it on screen, you're like, that's it. That's exactly how I saw that. That
That's
is what that
awesome.
needs to be. Which is why I don't understand why when you make film adaptations of books, a lot of the time I feel like you're not even looking at the source material. Like you're reading the spark notes.
Yeah, you read
You know?
the summary and we're like, I got it.
Yeah, I got it. I got the gist of it.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
I love and now that I've been reading Frankenstein and I watched the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, which I know you haven't watched yet. Don't fucking lie to me.
I haven't. I did start it though.
Oh, good. I'm proud of you.
Hey, you watched
Now that I've
Wolfman. I told you, if you watch
I
Wolfman,
did.
I'll watch
I
Frankenstein.
watched it. I watched the Wolfman. It was great. It was actually
We'll
really,
save that one
really
for another.
Yeah,
Maybe we could do a
that
Wolfman
needs to be
Frankenstein
compared
back to
review.
back to
Let's
back.
do it. But like reading Frankenstein the book and then watching I watched the movie first, and I've seen a bunch of different like iterations of Frankenstein, or like different ways that character comes off, like in Creature Commandos, or like Herman Munster, like all the iterations of the way this creature is supposed to be. And I think Del Toro gets it right if you're going to compare adaptation. Like if you're going to compare what's in the book to what you see on screen, Del Toro hits it right there. But that's because when you talk about it, and when he talks about the movie in interviews, Frankenstein is his favorite book of all time. It's why he does what he does. So he has a love for that source material. And I feel like a lot of these people that are putting out these adaptations just don't. They're there for the paycheck.
Yeah.
Like, you get hyped about all these video game adaptations. You had Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia, all of these movies that have come out.
Hold up,
exactly.
Hold up.
Yeah.
But we got Mario and Sonic though. And
so,
you know what?
And that's what I was going to get to.
I'm good.
That's what I was going to get to.
I can't wait
the
for
fact
tomorrow.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Are you coming to the same theater or no?
What do you mean? Am I coming to the same theater?
I don't know. I don't know if you bought tickets yet. Because
I didn't buy tickets yet.
I couldn't get more than 4 seats, so I got 4 seats, but then everything else is spread out, so I wasn't sure.
Oh. No, I'll figure something out. I'll figure it out. Don't worry.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we didn't sit right next to each other at a movie, but
I'd be sad. About it.
I couldn't find more than 4. Like, it was almost sold out, so I took a row for me, Kelly, and the kids. And
are you taking Addie too? Oh man.
Oh, Addie, that's her movie, dude. You want to see Addie go into an instant trance? You put on Super Mario Brothers. Instant, like instant. Just it's
ready.
time.
I'm ready.
Yeah, it's.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you get a lot of these video game adaptations, and just now you're finally getting things like the people that did Sonic. They love Sonic, so they want to make the best possible Sonic that they possibly can.
Not the original. They brought in people who love Sonic after that.
Exactly.
Like, hey,
but like Super Mario too. Like, Super Mario as well is like it's the voice actors that are behind it feel great. Everybody that's in, like, the fact that Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong, and like
I don't want to dive too into it, but since it was in space, fucking Star Fox, baby, you saw that shit.
I know. Of course I saw that shit.
Let's fucking Star Fox.
Glenn Powell is Star Fox, no less.
Star Fox, no. I can't wait.
Yeah.
But I think let's come back to.
But that's what I'm saying. So I'm going back to Hail Mary. I think because of this movie, I think we're going to see a rise in, hey, we don't have to spend $800 million to make a successful movie if we just make the movie we want to make. And we love this stuff, so we want to make it in the way we see it, and hopefully people will like it as much as we do. And I think we're on an uptick. We're on an uptick, you know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like going back to horror movies too, horror movies typically are not that expensive, and they've been making huge dividends at the box office because the horror movies are actually good. They're not just
Yeah.
a ton of jump scares
Yeah.
with nonsensical stories. Like they're
Oh,
pretty compelling for the most part. And actually, without the jump scares, they're unnerving, and there's some good ones out there. But
yeah.
all right,
I agree.
one question for you, and I had this question for Kelly, but she didn't remember, so I wanted to ask you.
I could try.
In the beginning, uh, Grace's character is basically, I don't want to say mm, a failed scientist or whatever, but he believes that not every living thing needs water to live. And he finds out in his test when he was going through that everything that he thought was a lie.
Oh, with the
But
astroface, yeah.
yeah, but then, he meets Rocky, and technically that would prove him right. And I'm surprised in the movie that there's no connection there of him also having a more of a connection to Rocky because of that. Because he's just a rock. They don't even have water on his planet. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So is
So
that
no,
mentioned in the book
they
at
do
all, or
actually.
is it
So
okay?
that scene at the end when he's walking on the beach, that is really his part of his planet. They just build this dome around it for him.
Oh, the
Um,
water is there? I thought the
oh yeah.
water was made too because he was talking about how the water is different temperatures. So I thought that was him
Yeah, so
trying
they
to.
they provide him I don't know if it's water inside his dome. What they do to treat that water, I don't know. They don't get into it, but they create this world for him to live there. Um, I I don't recall anything in the book mentioning uh the fact that Rocky is a rock and is is not water. The one thing I did find humorous that they don't talk about in um oh, I guess they do when he eats. So in the book he avoids
It's
eating in
beautiful.
front of Grace. He avoids eating in front of Grace because he's embarrassed about how he eats. And it's like what they do in the movie is much more graphic in like at least
Hilarious.
visually than I was picturing in my head. Um it's like because it's such a cool relationship where they start talking about well how do you deal with this, like well how do you that's a weird word, I don't have a word for that,
Yeah.
or like where they talk about their bodily functions and like why does Grace need to
Dirty,
sleep this many hours. Yeah.
dirty, dirty,
Yeah.
dirty, dirty.
Amaze, amaze, amaze.
Oh man,
But yeah, no,
such an amazing character.
it is, and I think this also goes to how well Andy Weir writes because he's basically had two successful books turn into basically two successful movies, and that's I mean, what was that like on par with Stephen King at this point? Books to movie success, or well,
Yeah.
I guess Harry Potter's more successful. That's a book to movie. So I've never read any of those books, so I don't know how well those adaptations meld. From what
No,
Erica tells me,
Kelly says the books are better too.
yeah, she says the books are better. There's way better stuff that happens in the books. Um, but that's what I'm saying. Like this movie, it succeeds on that note. It succeeds on the fact that this is a great adaptation. Um, I hope we see more successes like this for other really good books. I know for a fact that Apple is working with Brandon Sanderson, who is a very dominant fantasy writer, with one of his series called Mistborn. I don't know if it's a movie or if it's going to be a show, but the thing about it is he's writing the screenplay. So he's the writer of the novel, and he has a like a little podcast that he does when he signs his books, that like when he signs his books, he talks about like stuff that's going on with him and all the projects that he has in up and running. He talks about how like what he's condensing, what he's removing, but I'm glad he's making the choice. Like it's not some bureaucrat or
Yeah, it's
some CEO like being like, no, we need the dog in there. We need that
yeah,
dog. So the dog doesn't exist in the book. No, we need a dog. Kids love dogs.
yeah. It's the same thing how you can point to One Piece too. So
I was just about to say that too. Yeah.
just having the creators actually approve everything is taking all these things to another level. Between the
Yeah.
fans appreciating it more, appreciating what they're watching, as opposed to just being slapped in the face most of the time. Um, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other questions do I have about?
I had a question for you.
Oh yes,
So in
absolutely.
terms of like, so you and I obviously know who Alan Moore is, right? So Alan
Yes.
Moore wrote Watchmen, V for Vendetta, all these fantastic comic books.
Mhm.
Did you ever feel that those adaptations were successful? Even though I mean, we both enjoy those movies.
I would say
I personally,
Watchmen 100%. V for
yeah,
Vendetta, while I enjoy it as a movie, is nothing compared to the graphic novel.
yeah, I agree. I
Like V
also
for
think,
Vendetta, I think is a beautiful movie to watch. And again, if you don't know the graphic novel, it's probably good. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I would take the graphic novel every time over the
yeah,
movie.
a lot of people argue that V for Vendetta is a better adaptation than Watchmen because
Who the
because
fuck are these people?
I am going to explain it to you.
I am
Because the change to the end of Watchmen is so drastic compared to the comic. So in the comic, they fight a monster. It's like that
yeah,
kraken like creature,
big
big
stupid
squid
squid.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
In the movie, they go against Dr. Manhattan, right? The you also got to think about when Watchmen was written. Um, the reason people argue that the squid makes more sense because he actually achieved what he wanted to achieve in uniting people against an alien foe, an alien creature, which brings like all of the societies together against this one thing. With Dr. Manhattan, all you've done is you haven't united everybody, you've united some people against uh not even an alien creature, just a misunderstood and nearly omnipotent creature.
I say he's like a fucking guy. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think that's
But
a
you know
bit
what
of
I'm
a
saying?
stretch. I
That-
I actually
That's
enjoyed.
it's you're talking about it thematically and politically at that point. Because when Watchmen was written, we were still kind of in the Cold War at that point, and everything was about Russians.
I still think Watchmen is Zack Snyder's best, especially the director's cut. The ending did not bother
I
me
love the
at
director's
all.
cut.
I thought it
I love the
was
director's cut.
it. I thought it worked beautifully in the movie. Would I have preferred to see a giant squid, much like the Watchmen HBO series, which I thought also did it really well, and it was cool to see there, which I thought that series
I've
was
actually never seen that.
phenomenal. Oh, gotta watch it, dude. Really fantastic. I'm shocked there was no season 2 involved. But um yeah, no, I'm shocked to hear that there are people that think the V for Vendetta movie is better than Watchmen in terms of an
Yeah,
adaptation.
yeah.
I know there were definitely people that were upset that we didn't get the giant squid in the movie, but again, it was so close to what it was, and it is very easy for it to make sense with Dr. Manhattan because he's
I agree.
basically a god, and people can just be like, that's not my god. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's all
I agree.
you can go
I
with
agree.
so many different ways. I can
It's a
definitely see
creative
it.
choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
But
creative choice. I
has that
agree.
tied to Project Hail Mary? What was the question?
Adaptations, in terms of
Mm.
adaptations. It's I was just like thinking about like anything that was like a successful adaptation. And honestly, like I personally thought both of those movies were good adaptations. I'm not saying they're perfect. They're not
So the
perfect by any stretch. But
First Sin City.
yeah, Sin City. Yeah, another one. Again, all these like you're talking like these comic books. Like I know for a fact, Alan Moore basically just doesn't care.
Nah,
Like
he's a caveman.
yeah, he's a wizard. He's a wizard.
Yeah, he is
That's what he
just.
thinks about. He thinks he's a wizard.
I wonder if he's even. Is he
He,
still alive? Do we even know?
I don't know. Let's
Yeah,
see.
like,
Is Alan
would
Moore still
anyone even
alive?
know if he died? Because like he's been cut off from the world for so long. I'm not even sure if
Oh
he's
yeah,
alive.
he's still alive. Born in
Oh, okay,
1953. Yeah.
nice.
He's not doing anything, but he's alive. He's there. Um, yeah, I was just I'm glad that this movie is doing so well. I feel like this being a success will start the uptick of more successful adaptations, more successful films based on other franchises. As long as I think the creative minds are fans of the content, I think we'll get it, something successful. You got to look at everything that's been successful so far, like not just this movie, but like Jon Favreau. Everything he's touched on Star Wars so far has been a success.
Yeah.
You have The
The only thing that
Mandalorian, Ahsoka.
hasn't is the shit that he doesn't touch, like Boba Fett, Obi-Wan. It's just
I
like
like Obi-Wan and I stand by that. You can argue with me all you want. I think The Acolyte is the worst Star Wars shit I've ever seen on screen.
yeah, I'll throw that in there too. With again,
I
not something that
hated it.
they touched.
It's just like, hey, let's make this I don't know, like what. Let's look on Twitter and see what's trending, and we'll write a story about that. And I'm just like, dude, people watch Star Wars because they want to be in that world. That's why you go to the movies. You want to take yourself away from your everyday life to experience another world. I will also say this. If you're going to go see Hail Mary, go see it in IMAX. 100%.
100%.
You don't have to see it in 70 millimeter. Go see it in
you're
IMAX.
lucky
It's not
enough
worth it.
to be close to a 70 millimeter, 100%. But
Yeah.
it has to be an IMAX. I can't even
Has to be
imagine. I can't imagine with ticket prices being as high as they are to even go to a movie for the standard ticket when the IMAX version is there, especially when it's filmed specifically for IMAX and whatnot. It just takes it to an entirely other level. And this movie was just an absolute. I almost want to call it
It's a masterpiece, man.
Yeah, like
say
it's really close because and I think it's only because we just haven't seen a movie feel and this good in visually and emotionally together, where like again to come back as someone that has not read the book and really just be like, this was phenomenal and I cannot believe all the practical effects. And then immediately, like the first thing I looked up was like, I wanted to know all the practical effect details, and finding out that Rocky was, a puppeteer.
Full on animatronic.
Yeah. Between a puppeteer and an animatronic, and the puppeteer is the voice actor, and he was in every shot with Ryan. I'm just like, oh my God. And then they built the full set. They were using, it's just unbelievable.
Do you think this movie would be as successful as it is if it came out at a better time for movies? Like if this came out maybe like a year or two from now, when we see this uptick, see the more successful films using practical effects again, do you think this movie would still be as successful?
I think so because at the end of the day, this is going to be the movie that hopefully kickstarts that. And I could say the same like Dune. Dune also has that feel because again, there's actual sets and the director is fantastic and the details are all there, and so like there are movies that are trending in that direction, but this one was just more visceral because you're just with one person. There's the big grand shots are, again, it's just one person, not an epic battle. It's not a ton of shit on screen happening at once. This is just one dude for the most part. The most action is one guy, he's jumping 5 feet at a time. Like that's it. And
the tension when they're collecting the predator, like that whole in the book, it's tense. Like it's a very tense moment in the book. Seeing it on screen put that tightness in my chest 10 times more than when I was reading it. Like it is.
I will say,
like you're saying,
My takeaway though, my like when I walked away, it's true. There's nothing stronger than a bromance. There's nothing stronger than a bromance. Man was like, I don't even want to go back to Earth. I found my
Nope.
boy. I don't care. He's
He
a rock.
found his people
Yeah,
on
like
another planet, but he found his
just
people.
bromance is so strong, it cannot be broken.
Yeah,
When you find that boy,
it's true.
it was
It's
so
true.
funny. I was like, man,
It's true.
this is the greatest bromance of all time. Guy was like, I'm not
It
going
is.
home. Fuck him.
Well, so in the book, he doesn't. In the book, he stays there. There's no talks of him. I don't remember in the book Rocky being like, "Oh, we repaired the Hail Mary to send you home." Uh, in the book, I want to say that he made the conscious choice to stay on the planet and teach.
Well,
He
even in the
teaches them.
movie, he kind of leans to that too
Yeah,
because
it's alluded to, but it's
yeah,
never like they want to leave it open ended. I guess where
yeah,
like, oh, he might go back, he might not. In the book, it seems much more final. It seems
gotcha.
like, okay, like why would you choose this? But at the same time, like I get it. Like I get where like if I try to imagine being in his position, like I get it. You're you're successful here. You're doing what you want to do, and you're teaching an alien race about science that you and I love. That's the other thing I love about this movie. The alien is not an all-knowing creature.
Yeah,
He is literally just another species of creature from another planet,
trying
same as
to
us.
that's trying to
He's a
figure it out.
mechanic.
Yeah,
He's a scientist. That's all he is, and it's all he's like. It's all he is. Like he's not. He's not like some omnipotent being that has all the knowledge in the world. No, he's like. Let's try this. Amaze, amaze, amaze. Question. Like it's it's so good that way because you feel it, he almost doesn't feel alien to you. He feels like a kid, but at the
yes,
same time, he's teaching you something
yeah,
while you're teaching him something. Like the fact that Ryan Gosling talks about how they don't know anything about radiation at all. And that's why his whole crew died, because
yeah.
they
Because
literally
they've
got
never
radiation poisoning.
experienced it. Yeah, they
Yeah, they have
never
their planet doesn't have radiation, so they have no way of protecting themselves from it. You know,
fist my bump.
fist my bum. That's not how you say that. That's not how you say it. And that's in the book too. That's in the book too. When they first said it, I was like, oh man, they brought it out. It's like,
So, we're closing in an hour here, so let's
yeah, let's close it out.
couple more questions.
Yeah.
So, what was your absolute favorite from book to screen moment?
From book to screen moment.
Yeah, that where you were just like, man, this is perfect.
It's hard to pick. Honestly, it's gonna sound cheesy, but it's hard to pick one.
That's great
Um,
though. That's awesome.
it is because it's such a good. It is. It's such a good adaptation.
But I'm gonna
They
make you
just
pick one.
so I love, I love the conversation through the wall when he first meets Rocky and how he's looking through all the different pieces of the wall, and the first interaction that they have feels like it just jumps off the page. Like it literally, that's exactly how I imagined it in my mind as I'm reading it. Just that, like, he- trying when I read a book, I to like try to put myself in that character's situation or whatever I'm reading in that moment. He's literally just woken up alone in space, and all of a sudden, this big ass ship is coming towards him. And as someone that loves movies and loves books and loves all this, all these stories, if I were him and I saw this big ass ship coming at me, the first thing I'm going to think is a very stereotypical alien. It's going to destroy me, you know. But the fact that he turns it on his head and he's having this conversation, the fact that they're trying to talk to each other and they have no common language between the two of them. But it also shows you that, like, and he does a really good job of it in the book in terms of showing you that language can be a lot more than just spoken word. It can be visual communication. It can be mathematics. It can be music. Like, because as long as you're hitting all the different senses. So it's just seeing that on screen was awesome. Just awesome.
What's what's wild to me, right, is I'm pretty sure this is the first movie to use the dome. And it's kind of crazy because Favreau developed the first version of it for The Lion King in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
And
live action
then
one.
and then The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And they fully implemented it for The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And The Mandalorian came out when? 2020? The first Mandalorian
The
season?
first season, I think it was 2020, around then, 2020.
So
Yeah,
we're
because
talking.
we had moved here, and that was when it came out. Yeah.
So how is it that this is 6 years later that no movies have used this technology and it's only been a fucking TV show, right? Isn't that kind of crazy that no one has thought, wow, this looks great. Why does this TV show look better than most movies? Maybe we should try using that. It's kind of crazy, right? Like 6 years? Like,
You want to know
that's
why? Because
does Disney own it? You're not allowed to have a dome?
maybe. No, the truth I think comes down to creative minds. I've worked on movie sets before. Obviously nothing of this scale. Always small time projects. A couple in college. And the first thing you learn in any type of entertainment medium, and I think in any type of high-end service medium, there's egos involved. And there's egos involved. There's people that just think, I don't need that. I could still make a movie cheaper, and I can make a movie using this computer. Rather than go for the authenticity of what you're seeing in terms of the benefits of using that dome, like we talk about, the biggest benefit is you feel like you're in an actual place, and the lighting is huge. Like, you're creating natural light. Everything feels real because for the most part it is. It's real. It's real light. It's not something that you added with a computer.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference. And I think what you're saying, like how you're saying it, like that, why haven't we seen more people utilize this technology in the last 6 years? They don't want to.
Yeah.
They think they know better.
Well, I hope this is a big change, especially, because this is, I don't see how this cannot be the de facto replacement for most green screen. Obviously there are certain instances where green screen will be needed for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
of course. There's just certain things you just can't
CGI
do
character. Yeah, like but backgrounds, lighting, like why are we I'm just surprised. I'm surprised it's taken this long for a movie to use it with such impact. I think like the Batman used it for I think it's the shot where like he's on the skyscraper, like looking out at the city. I think that's the dome. But again, that's only for one shot.
I could see that.
That movie doesn't need it, whereas
No.
this is, you're in space. You need it.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what I find funny? Because recently I was watching an old 007 movie. I think it was For Your Eyes Only with Roger Moore, right? You talk about cheesy scenes when he is skiing down the mountain and he's just going like, the shot is just above his waist and he's just doing this, and there's fucking just movement behind him. We're back to that, man. There's a screen behind you. It's just, now it looks real instead of you standing in front of a screen. Yeah, it looks way better.
It's got
there's a place everything
for it.
Old is new again.
Yeah, it's just, again, why green screen has become such a problem is it's being used for everything. Yeah. And you can just tell. Like, you can just tell when people aren't actually on location in a jungle. You can just tell. Like, it's very easy to pick up on, especially depending on the lighting and stuff. Like, great case, look how terrible the live action Moana looks. It looks fucking bad. And that's because, again, there's just the way they're compositing the shots between the lighting and the green screen and it just, nothing matches. The sunlight doesn't match. So, will kids like it? I'm sure they will, but they're not going to like it more than the live action.
I would love this trend to stop in general.
Yeah. Disney is, I have no idea why Disney wants to continue making live action movies. I mean, outside of Lilo and Stitch, what one has been a real success for them?
Who the fuck knows? You
Like
think about look. Let's list just a
and
couple. You got Beauty and the Beast. You got Cinderella. You got Lion King live action. It's still a CGI movie.
I know.
The
Well,
whole
that's what I was
movie
gonna
is
say.
CGI.
Like that's the thing that I don't get. If you wanted to make, I think it would have worked if they would just made 3D. Like you want to make it close to ultra realistic, but if they just looked like the animated versions, I think they
Yeah.
do way better instead of making the like the Little Mermaid specifically. Like Flounder is the
I
most
forgot about that one.
terrifying fucking thing I've ever seen. But I actually think The Little Mermaid's probably one of their better movies because it does kind of go in a different direction and it kind of stands up on its own, and The Jungle Book as well. Outside of those
I
two,
was gonna say the Jungle Book is good.
they're all very mediocre and none of them are like
Yeah.
smashing successes. So I'm surprised
No.
when it's like you could have made Tangled 2 or any of these other animated movies and made $1 billion.
Well, don't worry.
And
They're
you're just
making
like,
a
nah.
live action Tangled.
Yeah.
Although, from what I've heard, Mandy Moore is reprising her role. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. But you heard it here.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. It's I'm just so happy with this film.
Yeah.
And it being the way it being adapted so well, and the utilization of, I don't even want to say innovative. It's just you're using the technology that's out there in a great way.
Yeah.
Like you're utilizing the tools that are in front of you, and you're just making something that you love.
Yeah.
You're not
Get
out
back,
just to collect a paycheck,
back to basics.
you know. Back to basics.
Back to basics. Yeah. I watched this incredible video on YouTube where it was basically breaking down like why older movies just in general look better, and it's not just because of green screen, it's even because of like the style of cameras that are used and
Yeah.
digital
Film
lighting.
in general.
Digital lighting is the biggest issue in terms of why your eyes can just tell that what you're looking at isn't real, because again, everything's in a green screen room, so everything has to be made in post, from the lighting, and again, it's just, as opposed to just filming someone outside, it's never gonna look the same. So I just really appreciated this movie, really trying to give you everything possible for you to feel like you were on a spaceship, like you were outside of the space, like everything, you just so immersed. Honestly, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. There's really no,
I love it.
My nitpicks
I don't
are
have any
so
hate.
minimal.
Same.
Could they have been a little bit more dramatic in certain instances? Sure, but honestly, the movie is just an incredible, fun experience.
It stands out on its own.
Yep.
It stands out on its own. So my last question for you, just to wrap it up. Do you think that this film will withstand the test of time? And what I mean by that is there are certain movies that you can watch that you forget when they're made. So so the original Star Wars: A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch that movie. At least I can watch that movie over and over and over again, and never once do I think like, oh, this just feels like 1977. No, it feels like Star Wars. It'll always feel like Star Wars in all its remastered glory, like when they cleaned up the film and re-released it. I think, like, I really feel like this movie may not be like, it's not definitely not going to be entering modern mythology in any way, but I think as far as a movie goes, people are going to look at it. You're going to use this movie as something you use in like a film history class.
I was going to say this, I guess this might be my hot take, but I think this is going to be considered like the modern day 2001 Space Odyssey. And I think so. I'm gonna go on record and say like this is what this will be considered, because
if anybody out there knows, that's a bold statement from AJ.
Yeah, it's real bold. I fucking love that statement. Movie. But like,
I don't. And it's common knowledge here. 2001 Space Odyssey.
You know,
I
obviously
it
doesn't have. They're two completely different movies in terms of tone, but I think the filmmaking, especially like just comparing the generals of space, it's gonna be really hard to find two movies that capture space that well
visually.
Yeah,
visually,
like
I think both movies are just beautiful.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna stand on it. I'm gonna stand on that.
Yeah, all right. I like it. I like it. You heard it here first.
Yes, yes,
Project Hail
yes.
Mary. Project Hail Mary. Just as good as 2001 Space Odyssey.
Hell yeah.
Just as
But
impactful. Yeah.
all right, man. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
And everyone that watched live, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for everybody that joined and hung out with us.
And if you think V for Vendetta is better than Watchmen, please unsubscribe. And as always, like and subscribe and be on the lookout for more content from Kaiju Live. Have a great night, everybody.